and I want to make sure that anyone who maybe needs to access this later has all of the information. So I'm going to take us over to Canvas first, clicking on the e-learning button. Hopefully you've done your attendance for the day. If you have not, you can still go in and do that now. But we're live at 1:15. We're going to go over instructions for today. So today we become detectives. In this CSI activity, we will use our knowledge of solving equations to help catch a suspect in a string of robberies. This activity is broken up into 6 parts, so we'll work on parts 1 and 2 today. At the end of the week, you'll submit your work and answer sheet, and then again, for anyone who missed the session, hopefully they've got access to this link that will be posted when we're done. So they've got 2 links here. The first link is a PDF. It's called CSI Algebra ebook Unit 3, and I have that pulled up here. So when you open that up, it looks like this. It's 7 pages long. This first page really is more for the teacher because it shows what some of the focuses are, how many days this should take, and what the standards are that get covered here. So the first page really isn't anything exciting. The second page is kind of where we get into the story about what we're going to do over the next 3 days. And we're going to read that in just a minute. But as you scroll through this document, you will see that there are what are called scenes. So there's scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, 4, 5, and 6. Once you have completed all of the scenes, then you're going to take your answers, plug them in here, and then hopefully figure out who the suspect is in this string of robberies. So we're going to read about that as well. But I also want to show you the other thing on Canvas, and this is what will be turned in. This is your work page, essentially. You will want to make sure that you download it to your computer. Make sure that you're saving it to OneDrive, that you're working in it, the same one every day, have it saved to OneDrive. You know, I still can't believe how many students try to say things like, oh, I lost everything I was working on. Well, I don't know how that's possible. It's just not anymore. With OneDrive and auto recovery, there's just not an excuse for that. So this is where you'll be doing all of your work. And I'll show you in a minute. I'm going to kind of split my computer screen so that you can see the document we're working in, and you can also see this workspace page. I'm going to close this one because I actually already have it opened up. And I'm going to take you back to the document again. So again, both pieces are here for you to download. You don't have to save this one if you don't want to. I guess you could just open it up here every day, or you could have it saved so you don't really need to be online to work on it. So we're going to do the first 2 scenes today, the second 2, scenes 3 and 4 tomorrow, and then scenes 5 and 6 for Friday, and hopefully then by Friday you'll be able to figure out who the suspect is. This came in actually like a really big packet, like a book, and there are several units, but it's pretty much a review of algebra. However, the equation solving unit here is one that you're definitely capable of doing. So I am going to take some time and read through this, mostly because I'm not sure that you will if I ask you to read all of this on your own. So each of the units from this book, from the CSI Algebra ebook, they're basically in different parts of the world, there's some sort of crime being committed. And so CSI stands for Crime Scene Investigation, and so that's kind of what you'll see that we do. It's a little bit corny. It's kind of funny, I guess, in my opinion, a little bit, but you're probably definitely going to roll your eyes and say, oh my gosh, this is so dumb. But it's cute. I think it's cute. So here we go. Detectives. Once again, and now it says once again because remember this is the 3rd unit, so it happened in Unit 1 and in Unit 2. The world has been rocked by a string of high-profile robberies. This time, it seems the Middle East has been victim of the evil genius group, the Math Magicians. Notes signed Kareem Algebra have been discovered at each of the robbery sites. So once again, a cryptic text message was sent, but requires the puzzles to be cracked. We believe the Math Magicians have been successfully piecing together a world-conquering device. Again, we've been told the result of the cryptic text message will calculate to Algebra's favorite number. Thus far, there are 6 suspects that police have questioned. It is hoped that someone with a relatively strong number sense can crack some codes that have puzzled the detectives on the case so far. Your job is to bring Algebra to justice and save the planet. You need to be prepared to state your case and demonstrate your understanding of the following skills that Algebra is known to use in the notes. So some of those skills are going to be translating equations, solving equations, and using formulas. It will also include some other examples of those concepts, definitions, and some other relevant information. This is not a time to be sloppy. The slightest miscalculation or illegible footnote could result in a not guilty verdict. Oh, did I mention that use of a calculator might prematurely set off his world-conquering device? Good luck to you, Gumshoe. Chief Harris. So there's kind of the story behind what's happening. So here's a map of the Middle East. Hopefully you know that from last year in social studies. But there's kind of like the little storyline. There are clues that have been left. And the biggest note here, it says the cryptic message is going to calculate his favorite number. So that's kind of what we're going to use at the end. So the question is, who is Kareem Algebra? And I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I know it's a play on algebra, but I don't know how that's pronounced in the Middle East, the Jabr. Okay, so this next document, this next page has 6 suspects on it. It gives their name, it gives their occupation, and it gives their favorite number. So we have Bayo, Trish, Chloe, Eugene, Daryl, and Carlo. So these are pretty funny little images, I think, but what'll happen is at the end, that hint to their favorite number is what's going to help tip you off to know who the suspect is, who this Kareem guy or girl is. I guess I should say there's several girls here too. Okay. So, and you're welcome to kind of look at this, you have access to this document. So we're going to start in scene 1, and I'm going to kind of show you where to start, how to start, and the expectation in terms of your work, how you should be showing your work for this. So I'm going to do a split screen. I'm going to put half of this document over here, and I'm going to put my workspace page over here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And I'm going to zoom out on this one a lot of it. 75, 50, maybe 60. There we go. Okay, so today your goal really is to only get scene 1 and scene 2 done. Hi, Shema. It is Algebra. Awesome. Thank you. Algebra. So that's probably obviously a play on the word algebra. Algebra. Okay, I was saying like burr. Algebra. Awesome, thanks. So, okay, let me minimize that again. All right, so again, your goal today is to try to get scene 1 and scene 2 figured out, their answer, and then you're going to you have some space to show work here on the left of this document, and you have some space for your answer here on the right. So we're going to kind of go through this together. I'm not going to do the whole thing together, but I'm going to show you, especially for this first one, because this first one has a little more work than the rest, just because it has several equations there. So it says, in the middle of the night, Kareem Algebra softly rappelled into the heavily alarmed security system. Algebra most definitely has soft feet and great swag. He left with hundreds of coins from the ancient world. Okay, so that's our background. Then the stuff in the box here, this is kind of like a message from him. So it says, these coins look really old. I'll be selling these on eBay. Check out my listings at Worldly Swag 14. I'm about to knock over the home of algebra. Come enjoy the ride with me. And so now you're just looking at this coin. This is one of the coins that he stole. So looking at the coin, you can see down here in the bottom that we're supposed to figure out what G equals. So when we look at this coin, you can see in the middle, G equals D plus E plus F. Okay, well, that's not helpful because I don't know what D, E, or FR. So what I want you to focus on in this image is these three triangles here, kind of on the inside. A over F equals -7, B over E equals 3, and 3 equals C over D. Well, there's F, E, and D, which we also need in order to find G. But if you don't know A, B, or C, then you're in trouble. Now, if you go one more step on the outside ring, you can see if I solve this equation, I'll find C. If I solve this equation, we'll find A. And if we solve this equation, we'll find B. So if we start on those outermost equations and solve them, and then work our way in to these middle three, and then in even further, that's how we'll calculate G. So this problem actually has 7 different equations to solve. Now, I'm not going to, obviously if we could write, things would be a lot easier. I'm going to go ahead and start with A. And I've set this up this time so that hopefully, yes, we can hit the enter key. I don't know why I couldn't get that to work on that road trip project, but that was really frustrating to me. So I need to show some work. I would probably get some scrap paper so you can actually be writing stuff and then just telling me what you're doing over on the right hand side. So if I look at that equation, I'm going to open a blank Word document so you can kind of see my writing as well, like you would see in class. Okay, so that first equation, make sure I write it down correctly, that wouldn't be good. -9 minus A over 4 equals 5. Nope, draw. -9 minus A over 4 equals 5. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, so how would we solve this equation? The first thing you would do is, remember, when you're trying to get the variable by itself, you undo any addition or subtraction. This is a -9, so we're going to add 9 to both sides. We're going to bring down a negative A over 4, and that equals 14. Okay, now we have to do the opposite of dividing by 4. We're going to multiply by 4. Now there was a little joke in there that if you use a calculator, you might set off their world-conquering device. So I guess that's a risk you may or may not be willing to take. But negative A over 4 is equal to 14. So if I multiply both sides by 4, I'm still going to have this negative symbol. So why not just get rid of it at the same time and also just multiply both sides by -4? So that -4 cancels with this, and we get that A equals -56. Okay, we need that information. So now when you go to your worksheet, your workspace page, because I don't expect you to show all of that. That's really hard to do when you're just typing. So you might say something like this: added 9 to both sides, and then multiplied both sides by -4, and then maybe you want to say something like A equals -56. So that's how we solved for A. Now we're going to solve for B, then you'll need to solve for C, and then you'll need to go into this next portion, into these gray triangles, to plug in A, B, and C, and then go one step further when you figure out what D, E, and F are to figure out what G is. Okay, so I'm also going to do B, and then I'm going to do, I think, one more piece with you. So B says B over 5 plus 9 equals 6. So I'm just going to scroll down here. B over 5 plus 9 equals 6. If I mess up somewhere, please stop me. I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. I'm going to bring down the B over 5. 6 minus 9 is -3. Now we're going to multiply both sides by 5. Remember, we want to undo the division. And so B equals -15. So I'm going to look at what I did again. We subtracted 9 from both sides and multiplied both sides by 5. Did I mess up somewhere? Oh, yeah. Yeah, nice. That was from earlier. Okay, so back to my work page. Again, I want to kind of type what we did. We subtracted 9 from both sides and multiplied both sides by, what do we multiply by? 5. And then we got b equals 15. I forget if that's what I said or not. Yeah, negative 15. So then you're also going to want to do that with c, right? Over here on c, what would you do first on that equation? Does anybody know? The 7 plus 3c equals negative 11. What would you do first? We don't want to go that way, Shema. We want to get the variable by itself. So bringing an 11 over here complicates it. We want to go the other way and do what? Yes, good. We want to subtract 7 from both sides. Now, I'm not going to do that part, but I am going to show you one more portion of it today. So let's go to this first gray triangle here that says a over f equals negative 7. So on your work page, you're going to have to show how you calculated c, how you calculate d, e, f, and g. So again, you'll need to show the work for all of those. And I've made it so that you can hit the return key this time to kind of give yourself, make it a little more organized. So if I look at this a over f equals negative 7, I just found that a is negative 56. So I'm going to go back to my workspace, and it said a equals negative 7. I forget, is it e or f? A over f. And we just found that a, in this previous problem up here, was negative 56. So negative 56 divided by something is going to equal negative 7. What do you divide negative 56 by to get negative 7? Well, it's got to be a positive number, right? Because a negative divided by a positive is a negative. And 56 divided by what is 7? What are your multiplication facts? 7 times what is 56? Anybody know? Nah, nobody knows. Grab a calculator. 56 divided by 7. That's the other way you could do it. But the answer here is 8. So f equals 8. Negative 56 divided by 8 is negative 7. So on your workspace page, the one that you're going to turn, oh, your keyboard's not working. Oh, there you go. On your workspace page that you're going to turn in for letter F, you might say something like plugging in negative 56 for A, then negative 56 divided by 8 is negative 7, so F equals 8. Okay, you might do something like that. Again, you don't have to show the work like I am on this Word document. I'm only doing this here just so you can see it visually. This is how we solve equations. And so now, for that last part, now we know what F is. Okay, so we're one step closer. Now we got to figure out C so that you can figure out what D is. And you need to figure out E. We already know what B is. I told you over here. And once you know D and E, then you can add them all together and you'll figure out what G is. So D plus E plus F, which will be your last step, will tell you what G is. When you get what G is, that's what goes over here. So let's say it's negative 10. So that's what you would put there. You'd put negative 10. Don't have to have any kind of explanation on this side. This is just a quick place for me to check your answers, because if you're wrong, then you're going to pick the wrong suspect and we'll have to go back. So that's the first scene. So you'll need to finish that one today. And then you're also going to have to work on scene 2. So scene 2 says a baked clay tablet with Hammurabi's code was found astray this morning. It appears Kareem Algebra was attempting to translate the document. While my Akkadian is a little rusty, my swag tells me Rule 204 says this: What you do to one side, you better do to the other side. Otherwise, your hand will be cut off. Obviously, that's not true. But you've got 4 equations to solve here. Now, what I want you to notice here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Maybe not. Yeah, there we go. That's too much. What you'll notice here is that the first equation has variables on both sides. Okay, you practiced this yesterday in Khan Academy. Remember, you have to get the variable on the same side. I usually move the smaller one because that avoids having to work with negatives. And then you'll solve it just like a 2-step equation. Same thing here. We have x's on the left and we have x's on the right. Same thing with the third one, f's on the left and f's on the right. So you'll have to solve 1, 2, and 3 to figure out what k, x, and f are in order to come down here, because you're trying to ultimately figure out what v equals. So once you figure out k, f, and x, you can plug them into this equation, and then you'll solve for v. So we'll do one of those together. Does anybody have a preference? Do you want me to do number 1, number 2, or number 3? Anyone? 2. Yeah, well, good call. Or decimals, right? Is that why? Okay, so I'm going to go, let's see, if I do this, if I minimize that, let's bring it over here. No, don't do that. Okay, just so I can see them both. All right, number 2 says 28 minus 2.2x equals 11.6x minus 54.8. So again, normally I move the smaller variable over to the other side. This is much smaller because remember that's negative 2.2, which is much smaller than positive 11.6. So I'm going to add 2.2x to both sides. That's going to cancel out. I'm going to bring down the 28. 11.6 plus 2.2 is 13.8x. And then I have to bring down the minus 54.8. Now we have a 2-step equation. We have the variable on the right side, there's something being multiplied, and we have something being subtracted. Remember, you undo addition and subtraction first. So we're going to add 54.8 to both sides. So 28 plus 54.8 is 82.8, and that equals this 13.8x. And now we're going to divide both sides by 13.8. Again, the stuff I'm doing in red on the Word document is what I maybe would expect you to be doing on paper and pencil while you're working through this. So 82.8 divided by 13.8 is 6. So 6 equals x, or x equals 6. So that's that second one done for you. Let me minimize this. So in scene 2, you have, again, some more work to show. There was number 1, 2, 3. So you'll have to show work on all of these. 4. These are Roman numerals. Did you know that? Do you guys know Roman numerals? They're little ones. Lowercase. Okay, so I just did number 2, which was, so added, what did we do first? Added 2.2x to both sides, added 54.8 to both sides, and then divided both sides by, and I can't remember what that number was, 13.8? Yeah, 13.8. We got that x equals 6. So that first one's done. So when you go to solve number 4 down here, you'll put a 6 right there. So this is 4 equations that all need to be solved. They have variables on both sides. This is all the farther you have to go today. Remember, the end, the very end, is for us to get all the way through all these tasks and then be able to use this cryptic text here to figure out who Kareem, the master of swag algebra, is. Remember that from scene 1, you're going to figure out what G is. right? That one said G equals. From scene 2, you're going to figure out what V is. So then that'll leave us with figuring out H, P, I don't know, some cat looking symbol, lion, animal symbol, and then whatever that is, in order to crack the whole code. Now, you can work ahead if you want to, but I'll be working through a lot of this with you over the next 2 days. So go ahead and get this document downloaded and the workspace page saved. I think I'm going to sneeze. Yep, excuse me. And so this is what we're going to work on this week. If you have questions while you're working, please reach out. This is one where you want to make sure that you have the right answers at the end, because you don't want to try to solve that cryptic text if you don't have the right answers for the first 6 or for the 6 scenes. So there's a time, between now and Monday when this is due, that if you want to reach out and say, hey, can we go over these or check these? I'll probably want you to verify or show me some work first. It is going to be graded, yes. I don't know how many points it'll be worth yet. Probably not as many as the road trip project, but it'll be more than like a 5-point assignment. So yes, it is going to be graded, and you'll submit it to Canvas at the end of the week. Remember that Friday you still have school. There were 150 days or 160 days we have to go to school this year, and tomorrow is day 159. So instead of making us all come back the next week on Tuesday to kind of follow the schedule, we just superintendent decided to just put it on the end of this week so we can kind of just be done with it. I would hope that you try to get as much of your work done this week during the week so that it's not, hanging over your heads all weekend long. Although the weather's supposed to be kind of crummy, lots of rain. So I don't know, maybe it'll give you something to do. But again, if you have questions while you're working, please reach out to me.